Hello again, Porky people. Welcome back to episode 2 of Scratching Around. It's the show where I get to sit and eat pork scratchings, review them, drink beer, and tell you what I think. Hopefully, I won't get too fat doing this show. We'll have to wait and see. So, since the last episode, I've had quite a few people reach out and say that they want to see a second episode. I don't know why people want to sit for 33 minutes, as the last video was, watching me eat pork scratchings, but I'm not going to complain. In this time of coronavirus, all entertainment's good entertainment. So, the missus was a little bit embarrassed by what I got up to while she was at work. However, she has bought me the scratchings for this week. They weren't bought from the local co-op, like the last ones were. These have been ordered off of Amazon. They came in quite a large box for what is essentially 6 pots. And I believe, I thought these were made in Warsaw, but it looks like they were made in Shrewsbury, but were sent from Warsaw. But anyway, so this week we will be reviewing these 6 tubs by Mr. Tubbs. So, various flavours. Starting off with the good old traditional. Excuse me. We've got zingy salt and vinegar, smoky barbecue, honey roast, Thai sweet chili, and teasingly hot chili. So in the last episode there was one flavoured scratching, which was the mustard ones. The review I gave of them was that they were very nice, crunch, but once you were finished eating them, all you could taste was a little bit of mustard. There was nothing really porky going on. So let's hope that with these, they're not just a gimmick. Let's hope that they actually give something to the scratching. As always, I will be pairing it with beer. This week, it is Ubu. Just another ale that I like picking up from the supermarket. First sip. It's always good. It has been brought to my attention, I say far too much. That's never going to change. Too much going on up here. Just there. Hopefully, Jack, you're getting lots of outtakes already for this. Another room. Last time Jack did a couple of minute clip homage to me. I was quite honoured. So hopefully we'll get another one this week. I will put the link to his video in the description of this video, so anybody that hasn't seen it can go and watch it. I'll put it on my social media in bits and pieces, so quite a few people have seen it. Without further ado though, we will start off with the good old traditional premium hand double cooked. Smell like scratchings. Reasonably good size. So I'm assuming on all of these, sorry, bear with me a second, I'm just going to close that. There we go. A good old WhatsApp. So I'm assuming with all of these scratchings, they're probably going to be about the same sort of size, as they're coming from the same manufacturer. But again, this is something we'll discuss as we go. We'll be discussing the crunch of these, the fat crunchy bit, the good ratio, the flavour, the saltiness, the portion size, and then this week I've remembered to put the beer pairing up on the screen. So yeah, size, they're okay. You know, you've got some decent sized ones. You have got some little pieces in there hidden at the bottom, as is to be expected when they've bounced around. They look a bit, I don't know how well you can see that. They look a bit, you know when you get like molten rock, they get that kind of, the rock has like porous holes. That's what this has got. So hopefully the flavour's got down inside them. Quite nice. Okay. Just found a monstrous one down the bottom of the pot. Quite nice. So, first thoughts, a good amount of crunch. Quite a dry crunch. Usually with the scratching, obviously you get the crunch and then you get the fat bit underneath. I couldn't tell where the crunch ended and the fatty bit started. which does add a lot to the flavour. Plenty of herbs for you, Jack. Okay. Straight up with a sip. Okay. Straight out the gate. Right, size of scratching, pretty standard. I mean, there was one nice one, big size one, but overall, I think a 6. So the crunch is pretty good. They were quite dry, quite powdery. Crunch is an 8. Factor crunchy bit, there's, as I touched on just now, there's not a great deal of, I couldn't really tell where the crunchy bit ended and the fat began. So I'm a little bit disappointed on that. So for 4. Flavour, they're pretty good. They are quite a little bit bitter, which isn't a bad thing. A bit of umami, quite nice. Flavour, they're a 6. I did find these quite salty. Just trying to think what I've eaten today, whether I've had a lot of salt already today, and it's just my palate's not expecting a lot of salt. No, I had bacon at lunch actually. Oh, I'm getting heart disease. Latest people, nice knowing you. Saltiness, yeah, it's they're quite salty. So I'm probably going to give them. They're not blow your head off salty. You're like, oh my god, suck your cheeks in salty, but they're pretty salty. 5. Portion size, I mean, they're a little pot. 55 grams. I can't remember off the top of my head. Supposedly that's about right. I can't remember the size of the other packs, so I didn't keep them, stupidly enough. But saying that, I do believe these pots work out £1 or so each. I mean, you can get a good bag of pub scratchings for about £1, 89p to 120, something like that, depending on where you go. But I think this is okay. Portion size is pretty good, so I'm going to give them a 7. I mean, I think I could comfortably eat one of these pots and then want to go back for a second pot, but they're not too bad. Beer pairing, I can still taste the scratching now. I've been talking for a couple of minutes. It's pretty good. Yeah, overall. Because of the bitter taste and the ubu is quite sweet, it has got a little bit of a funny play off. It's a 6. So, the double cooked old traditional off to the side. The zingy salt and vinegar. So now we're getting straight into the flavoured ones. Try and get this without too much glare. Again, double hand cooked. So pop this bad boy open. They smell like salt and vinegar. Straight off the bat, it's, you know, salt and vinegar that you either love or hate. When growing up, I didn't like salt and vinegar. As an adult, I'm quite partial to them. And again, I'm not sure if this is from the transportation or what, but there's a lot of powder on them. I'm guessing where they've just been bashed around the pot. I don't know where to go for a large one. So there's quite a decent sized one here. Some of the others in the pot. See, even now, like, there's a lot of dust coming off of them. I'm not sure tubs are the best way to store scratchings. That's another thing to talk about. We'll cover that in a bit. Okay. That's interesting. So, obviously vinegar quite sharp. First thing that hits you. I'm not really getting a lot of salt, which is okay. The vinegar hits you a bit like not a mainstream like Walker's crisp or Golden Wonder crisp, almost like a Brannigan's or something like that, where the vinegar's, it's very punchy, but it drops off really quick. It's with you and then it's gone. But interestingly enough, it plays off against the sweetness of the pork really, really well, which I didn't quite expect. I mean, obviously in a lot of Oriental cooking, you get a lot of sweet and sour, and this is it perfectly. I've realised I say when I'm thinking. There's a lot going on up here. Over a scratching. Okay. Okay. So that one, very dusty, very strange. That last one I had there, I could tell where the fat was. So the first one I had, I just bit straight through it, a bit like the old traditional. I couldn't tell where the fat was, and the fat and the crunch blended. But with that one, I could tell straight away. Very clear where it was. Quite happy. Size of scratching, again, it's pretty much uniform, as I suspected. So it's another 6. Crunch again, pretty uniform. In fact, crunch bit seemed a little bit better on that second one I had, but still, it's not very distinctive. Whereas in the previous scratchings I've had, when you had a lot of crunch, you then get a nice amount of soft fat. So again, for the flavour, really powerful, obviously from the salt and vinegar. I didn't get a lot of porkiness. I mean, I said about the sweetness of the pork playing off, but there's not that sweet aftertaste of pork. It's just salt and vinegar completely. Saltiness, a 4. I'm not getting a lot of salt from these compared to the other ones. Portion size is exactly the same, another 55-gram pot. So it's going to be a 7. Beer pairing. So the flavour's still there. The salt and vinegar flavour's still there. And almost instantly, that beer, apart from the flavour being caught in my beard and on my lips, but that beer's just got rid of that flavour altogether. And there's not a lot left. So the beer pairing wise, I mean, it doesn't hold up to the beer, which is quite surprising because it's salt and vinegar and it's very punchy straight out of the gate. They're not bad with the beer, but there's nothing left. All I taste now is the beer. And it's the same mouthful I take pretty much every time. The same process. If anything, it was a lesser process. You know, I swallowed the beer quite quick. I didn't swill it. I didn't let it sit in my mouth. Beer pairing 5. So next up, smoky barbecue. So instantly I'm expecting, I like barbecue. I like smoky foods. In fact, I'm having Cubanos tomorrow for dinner. This hopefully will take to that kind of place. Hopefully. I'm not getting a lot of barbecue. I'm getting a lot of pork scratching. I'm getting some smokiness, but I'm not getting the barbecue smell that I'd expect. But surprisingly, actually, there's dust in these. Not as much dust as in the previous 2 pots. Maybe the salt and vinegar flavouring had come off. Maybe that's what that was in the previous pot. I don't know. I'll test it out after. There's some good sized ones in here, some really large ones. So again, the size of the scratching is pretty consistent. You've got some really nice big chunks. You've also got a lot of smaller pieces that collect in the bottom. Of course, got to go for the biggest one. I mean, this is pretty sizable. You know, there's my thumb. It's as big as my thumb. You know, pretty good size. Okay, so with that one, I don't know if you're familiar with these crisps, but instantly I'm getting frazzles. That kind of sweet porkiness, almost artificial porkiness. It doesn't strike me with barbecue. It's not unpleasant, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting that flavour. It's very sweet, quite sugary, which isn't a bad thing. Okay, let's just go through the ratings. So we'll have to think about this flavour a bit more. Size of scratching, it's pretty standard. You've got some big ones, you've got some small ones, so it's a 6. It's not bad at all. the crunch. This one, I found there was almost like little pockets of crunch, and I don't know if that's a piece of pork that I had or if it's because of the flavouring. I'm not totally sure, but not bad either way. The crunch is pretty good. The fat to crunchy bit, that one I just had visibly had a lot of fat on it. If you go back in the video, you'll be able to see when I put it up next to my thumb. But I managed to taste it. You know, the textural difference between the crunch and the fat. So yeah, pretty good. I'd say we were 5. Flavour, it wasn't unpleasant. I think it's not a flavour. I love barbecue. I love barbecuing meat. I love smoking meat. I love, you know, brisket. And I'm not a big fan of belly pork, but you know, pork shoulder that's been roasted and then put through with barbecue spices and, you know, made into a sauce. That, you know, it's heaven to me. But this barbecue, it was almost like the Heinz, when Heinz tried to do barbecue or something like that. I don't know. It was okay. It's not something I'm going to be rushing out to buy again. You know, for me, and that's not to say anybody else doesn't like them or, you know, dislikes them the same way I do. But I think a 6. They're okay. Saltiness, not a lot of salt at all. No, not at all. Portion size, standard as always, 55 gram pot. Done. Beer pairing. I suspect the flavour's going to go straight away. Yeah. So the only thing that was left while I was talking then was a little bit of sweetness. Not a lot of porkiness left. As soon as the beer went in, just cleansed the palate. And this isn't even a strong beer in comparison. I mean, the King Goblin that I was drinking last time, 6.6%, I believe. Very punchy, very bold, and even some of the scratches back in that video, they held up really well against that beer. So beer pairing, it's fine. It's you know, there's still a little bit there, so it's a bit better than the zingy salt and vinegar, but not up there with some of the greats. So next up, honey roast. This is the one that I'm probably the least excited for. Pork's already quite sweet. Does it need extra sweetness? I don't know. If I buy ham in a supermarket, honey roast is probably the last one I'd go for. I'd rather go for a smoked cured ham, and then, yeah, you know, processed ham I'm talking about here. If I get the money to buy decent ham, that's a different story. So when I popped the lid then, I just got a waft of good scratchings. And I can't actually smell the honey. There I can. Okay. There is a little hint of honey, that little bit of sweetness coming through. So looking through the pot, again we've got this kind of volcanic rock porous surface. Again, I'm not sure if you can see. It's not the best camera in the world, but it looks okay. Just lacking any what I would consider large ones. You know, they're all reasonable size, but you know, the last 3 pots have had pretty sizable chunks of pork in there. And I'm not sure if this is because there's one right at the bottom. I'm not sure if it's because of packaging or what. I mean, again, quite sizable. You know, decent chunk, and there is quite a good chunk of fat. Sorry, excuse my fingers. Quite a good chunk of fat, and a lot of crunch. So this should be interesting. See, even the fat there, it's okay. That's interesting. Even the fat there is firm. It's not melting like some of the other scratches I've had. I recognise that flavour, but I can't place it, right? there's a flavour that's coming through and I can't place it. It's another food. It took me somewhere, but I can't think what it is. But it is sweet. It's honey. It's not overpowering. I'm thinking it's a seasoning of some kind that I've had in the past, but I can't put my finger on it. After this video, I'm not going to sit here and bore you watching me trying to figure out what it is, but after this video, I'll go away and figure out what it is, and then hopefully on the next video I'll address it. Hopefully. Okay, so the first one, very crunchy. Had nice little pockets again, a bit like the barbecue or sort of vinegar, I can't remember now. Had little pockets of extra crunch that really made me fight my way through. But standard, you know, these quite a few of these are standard across board. So 6 on the sides of the scratching again, the sort of middle of the road, and then you get some that are you know, quite nice size that you don't expect to have that size, but others, you know, they're tiny. That second one I just had there was minuscule. Crunch. That one actually seemed a little bit softer. There was pockets of crunch, but overall, I don't know. I'm going to go 7.5 because I don't feel it was quite as crunchy. And I'm assuming all of these scratchings are cooked in the same way. It's the same company. You assume that the seasoning processes, I'd imagine conveyor belts and seasonings dropping on them. I don't know. Hopefully, one day I'll get to go around to a factory and speak to the people that make these. That'd be awesome. Fat to crunch bit. Again, it's very hard to tell where one begins, one ends. It's a bit disappointing in some places. Flavour, quite sweet. Pork is naturally quite sweet meat for me anyway. Again, it's not a flavour that I'm going to be running out to buy. Once this pot's gone, you know, I won't discourage anybody else from trying them. I mean, please do. You know, every type of scratching that's out there needs to have a little taste and see what you like. Everyone's different. You know, it's what makes the world go round. But for me, they're not for me. The saltiness, I didn't get a hint of salt in them, which is nice. So actually, even less. If we go down the scale, 5.32. Portion size, standard. So I've still got some of the flavour in my mouth. The honey's gone. I can taste some of the meaty porkness, the umami. Let's give it a go. Actually, do you know what? There's still something there, which is quite nice. You still got the sweetness sitting on the back of the tongue. Yeah. So actually, those have held up stronger. The flavour's still there, but with the ale, and it might be the choice of the ale. It sits a bit funny. Not unpleasant, but it's not they don't harmonise so well together. And I think that's just because of the choice of ale. I mean, you can get some ales that are quite sweet. I mean, I sometimes have a plum porter, and that is incredibly sweet for a porter that's deep and, you know, it's got hints of coffee and dark chocolate and that sort of thing. But with the plum element, it hits you straight away. So the same way we're doing here with scratchings, I'm doing with beer in my head. So maybe the honey roast is working in that kind of way on my tongue, and I'm not expecting it. I'm not totally sure. Moving swiftly on. Thai sweet chilli. So we're getting into the realms of the chilies now. Chili and me get on lovely. In fact, after this is my appetizer. Excuse me. And after this, I've got an Indian on the way. It should be here in about 15 minutes. So hopefully this will leave my palate in a good stead, ready for my. I think I've got jalfrezi tonight. So it's pretty standard. I'm not seeing any monstrous ones like I've seen, you know, just the odd monstrous one. That's pretty gnarly. It's pretty good size again. You know, good chunk of meat. You can smell the chili on them. You know, the heat. This is going to sound really ironic. Maybe not ironic, that's probably the worst word to use. Upside down, back to front. But these, to me, have more of a barbecue taste than the barbecue ones did. And you can see on the pot, it says Thai sweet chili. But these, to me, have more of a barbecue hit. They've got that smokiness, the slight spice. They're not blow your head off spicy. They're pleasant spicy. I mean, I can't think of a Thai sweet chili crisp other than the Walker Sensations, and they're not like that at all. They're smoky and they're spicy, but they don't necessarily give me the hit of lemongrass and so what have we got in here? Cayenne and ginger. I'm not getting a huge amount of ginger on these. On the smell, maybe a little bit, but actually on the taste, I'm not getting a hit of ginger. So what's in the smoky barbecue actually? Paprika, cayenne, cumin, coriander, tomato powder, okay, honey roast, molasses, yeast extract. Okay, that's interesting because they have got that umaminess. This one got yeast extract as well. No. So it's just the barbecue one. Was it barbecue one? Lost it now. No, the honey roast one. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, so these are nice. These are more my bucket of fish, if you want to think of it. Mm-hmm. So they are sweet. I'm not getting a huge Thai element at all. There's none of that acidic sharpness that, you know, comes through with Thai food. If these were rebranded as a smoky barbecue, I think they'd probably hit the nail on the head a little bit more for me. I mean, maybe my palate's a little bit warped, but these have got more of a Thai. Oh, sorry, more of a barbecue flavour than a Thai flavour. I read the word Thai. I said the word Thai when I was meant to say barbecue. I'm tired. They're nice. So size of scratching, pretty consistent across the board. That one there was pretty crunchy. The first one I had not so much, so I think another 7.5. I think, you know, again, same manufacturer, same factory, you would assume. So these, you know, these three across here should be pretty much the same. Fat to crunch bit, it's pretty standard at this point. Looking through the pot of them, they seem to be better. I think it's just luck of the draw, so I'm not going to hold the fat to crunchy bit too much to ransom on this. Flavour, I really like the flavour of these actually. They weren't sweet chilli to me, Thai sweet chilli. They were more barbecue. As I say, there's not a lot on the ingredients that makes me think. I mean, you've got cayenne, you've got ginger, you've got garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. You know, take the ginger out. That's pretty much on the way to a barbecue dry rub. So, and in the barbecue, you had the cayenne, the cumin, the coriander, tomato powder, onion powder, garlic powder. I don't know. Maybe they need to up the spice blend in the smoky barbecue. I'm not totally sure. But anyway, flavour, I enjoyed the Thai sweet chili ones. I'm going to call them barbecue for now. I would probably buy them again. They're nice. They'd be a nice pack to get put on the table in front of a group of people and say, have a taste of these. Saltiness, I'm not getting a lot of saltiness at all. Two. Portion size standard, 55 grams. Beer pairing. So I've still got the flavour there. Still got the pork. Excuse me, the porkiness, the barbecue flavour. So I've been a bit more generous on the swill there. Try and get it all the way around and see what happens. It's not gone anywhere. It's still there. And it would be interesting thinking about it, whether to eat these in different orders. I don't know. I've ordered these in the order that I felt the flavour would ramp up. Maybe it's compounding, so each flavour's going on top. The dogs are going crazy because I think the Indian is here. But anyway. Beer pairing, I can still taste it. I can still taste what I think is the barbecue flavour. So it's held up nice, and it's pleasant. They work in harmony with each other. They're quite nice. Last but certainly not least, teasingly hot chili. So these are the ones that I've been looking forward to. I do like spicy food. It's you know, my stomach doesn't always like spicy food, but I like spicy food. Okay. Spicy salt, garlic, herbs, chili powder, habanero chili powder. So I'm quite looking forward to this. Red pepper, cumin, paprika extract. So similar kinds of things as to what are in the others. Size wise, pretty standard. Just looking around the bottom of the pot because in the previous pots some larger ones have collected there. So interesting here, we've got one that doesn't seem to have any fat. It's just the pure top, which is a very, very interesting conundrum. I'm not getting any big ones in here, really. Got another one. Very strange. And the fat seems to have broken off of these and it's collected at the bottom of the pot. And I'm not sure if it's because it's a tub or what. You'd think a tub would protect them more, but I guess, you know, everyone's seen Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Obviously, you have the cocktail shakers. You know, if these are getting bounced around in factories or whatever the case may be, maybe they're bashing on the side of the pot, and because it's a rigid surface, it's chipping away. Who knows? Packets might be a little bit more forgiving because they've got a little bit of room for movement. In a cardboard box, maybe. Not totally sure. So let's find one that's a good split. Struggling here, people. I'm going to have to do a couple of these, so it's tiny. Okay. There's heat coming through. There's a bit of sweetness coming through. They're nice. So, the heat's pleasant. I think if you're not a fan of spicy food, possibly stay away from these. But the heat is very, very pleasant. It's everywhere, which is nice. Just quickly whiz through these settings a second, through the fields a second. So size of scratching, standard across the board. Except this pot here, and I can only rate it on this pot. There wasn't any large ones. They're all small, medium. You know, they're not large. So I'm going for a 5. Crunch, again as always, 7.5 to 8. It's the same sort of ballpark. Fat to crunchy bit. Again, I don't know if it's this pot. Maybe if I see these pots individually, I'll buy another pot and review this again. You know, return back to it and see how we get on But Fat to Crunchy bit, it's hard to tell on these. It really is. I'm really unconvinced. There's no definition between the two parts, and sometimes that's what you want. I mean, when I first started eating scratchings, I liked the crunch. I wasn't a big fan of the fat. Over the years, I've grown to love it, as has the waistline. Flavour. These do what they say on the tin. They are teasingly hot chili. They are purely hot chili. There's you've got a few other little hints of flavour coming through, but overall they're just there to keep you spice in your mouth. They do what they say on the tin. They're an 8 for me. They're not blow your head off spicy. If you do like a good spice, some people go, oh, there's nothing there. Oh. They're probably the people that go to Nando's and put the extra hot sauce on their wings. You don't need to do that to prove a point to anyone. Spice is spice. Spice is there to be enjoyed. They're enjoyable. Definitely 100%. Saltiness. Not getting a lot of salt. Again, 2. Portion size standard, 7. Beer pairing. This is going to be interesting because I've still got the flavour of the chili. The warmth is still there. It's been subdued a lot. It's been taken down a lot of notches, but that you expect that with chili anyway. You instantly go for something cooling when your mouth is on fire. It's still there. It's creeping back. The strength of the chili, and that is from the habanero. I believe there are 150,000 on the Scoville chart. So they're pretty low in terms of your Carolina Reapers, your Scotch bonnets, that kind of thing. But it's pretty much the top end of a lot of people's tolerance for chili. They're pretty good. I still got the porky flavour. Yeah, the porky flavour is definitely still there as well. I do like them. The beer pairing wise, the beer hasn't killed them off. So I think they're an 8. So overall, the size of the scratching, the crunch, the fat to crunchy bit, the results speak for themselves. The crunch is pretty good. Size of the scratching, it's run of the mill. There are some, you get the odd one or two that are big, and obviously I know businesses, you can't just give away all the big ones in every packet, but certain brands, certain packets do tend to have bigger pieces. Maybe it's cooking method, maybe it's the type of pork they start off with, I don't know, could be a million and one things. Crunch, it's pretty consistent through. They are pretty crunchy, which is very good. Fat to crunchy bit, a bit disappointed. I didn't get any noticeable. There's the fat ending, and maybe on one little piece, maybe on the honey roast, I think it was. But again, fat is an integral part of a scratching, I think, now, having grown up, matured. Flavour on them, very good. Across the board, pretty good flavours. They do what they say on the tubs. I feel, okay, going out on a limb here, and it might upset some people. They're gimmicky. They're if your dad, you've got Christmas coming up, or a birthday, or something, and you've got or a secret Santa at work, and the person likes scratchings. Get them this box of scratchings. They're good. For that, it will give the person. I've been sitting for 40 minutes now eating scratchings and talking about it. It will give that person something to think about, and a nice experience sitting in front of the telly watching a Queen's speech or whatever. But they're not your day-to-day average scratchings that you'd want to go and buy. They're a party gift almost. I personally won't be going out to buy a box of these again. Not to say they're unpleasant. Just, I think if I want a bog standard, I just want to eat some scratchings, I will just go and buy some scratchings. Straight up. Pretty simple. Portion size consistent throughout. 55 grams across the board. I haven't got a set of scales here, but they all looked about the same filling level. So that's fine. Beer pairing, mixed bag, obviously dependent on the flavourings. Not unpleasant overall. Give them a try. I will try and find a listing on Amazon for them and put it in the description as well if you want to go and try them as well. It'll be interesting to see what anybody else thinks of them. So I know it took a while, about 12 days I think, between the last video and this video. Hopefully that won't happen again. I do plan on recording another video tomorrow. I've got a few packets, not tubs, a few packets to go through. But I thought rather than eating 9 packets or tasting 9 packets in one session, I'd break it into 2 videos. Although this one's taking 40 minutes, the other one should only take about 10-15, hopefully. As always, if you've enjoyed sitting watching me scratchings on telly, as horrific as that sounds, I mean, I know rule number 1 is never eat on TV. But if you've enjoyed it, please give me a like, give me a subscribe, share this video with your friends. If you know anybody that likes scratchings that wants to, have a conversation with me about them, send them my way. I'm always happy to chat with new people and share views. So, as always, thank you very much for tuning in. I've got to get used to where this camera sits. I'll put it well on my head. Ladies, people, love you all. Bye.